close your eyes for a moment and listen not to the noise outside but to the quiet within. There is a weight many people carry, though they cannot see it. It lingers in their thoughts, clouds their heart, and follows them like a shadow. This is what you call negative energy. It is not something mysterious or magical, it is simply the residue of worry, anger, fear, and unspoken pain. Now imagine something simple, a bowl of still water. Water does not argue. Water does not resist. Water receives and transforms. Place a bowl of clean water before you. Sit quietly. As you gaze into it, do not try to force your thoughts away. Let them come. Let every worry, every doubt, every heavy feeling rise to the surface of your awareness just as ripples appear on water. And then, without struggle, allow those thoughts to settle. The water teaches you something powerful. When undisturbed, everything becomes clear. Bring your attention to your breath. Slow. With each exhale, imagine releasing what burdens you. With each inhale, feel a quiet strength entering you. The bowl of water becomes a mirror not of your face but of your inner state. If your mind is restless, the reflection trembles. If your mind is calm, the reflection becomes clear. Do you see? The water is not changing you. Our negative energy does not leave because of the water alone. It leaves because you stop feeding it. You stop holding it. You stop becoming it. In this simple act, you return to balance. You realize that peace was never far away. It was only covered like clear water disturbed by constant motion. So whenever your heart feels heavy, do not search for complicated answers. Sit. Breathe. Place a bowl of water before you and remember. Stillness is your true nature. Clarity is already within you. And what disturbs you can also be released. Just like water, you are meant to return to calm. Negative energy comes from within. It is not something external or mystical. It is created by our own thoughts like fear, stress, anger, and overthinking. Negative energy is often misunderstood as something external, something that comes from other people, situations, or unseen forces. But in truth, it begins much closer than we realize. It is born quietly within the mind, shaped by our reactions, our fears, and the stories we continuously tell ourselves. A single moment of worry, if held onto, grows into anxiety. A brief feeling of anger, if repeated in thought, becomes a lasting heaviness. Over time, these small, unobserved patterns gather and settle within us, creating what feels like a dense emotional weight. The mind has a natural tendency to hold on to what disturbs it. It replays conversations, imagines worst-case scenarios, and clings to past experiences that cause pain. In doing so, it unknowingly feeds this negative energy, giving it strength and permanence. The more attention we give to these thoughts, the more real and powerful they seem. This is why two people can face the same situation. Yet one feels overwhelmed while the other remains calm. The difference lies not in the situation but in the inner response. What makes this energy feel so real is our habit of identifying with it. Instead of seeing thoughts as passing events, we begin to believe they define us. I am stressed, I am angry, I am afraid. But these are not fixed truths, they are temporary states moving through the mind. When we fail to see this, we become entangled in them, allowing them to shape our mood, our behavior, and even our sense of self. There is also a subtle resistance that strengthens negative energy. When discomfort arises, the instinct is often to push it away, ignore it, or fight it. Yet resistance does not dissolve it, it deepens it. Like trying to smooth water with force, the more we struggle, the more disturbance we create. This is why avoidance, distraction, or suppression only provide temporary relief, while the underlying tension remains. Understanding that negative energy comes from within is not about blame, it is about empowerment. If it were truly external, we would have no control over it. But because it arises from our own patterns of thought and attention, it can also be softened and released from within. The moment we begin to observe our thoughts instead of reacting to them, a small distance is created. In that space, the energy begins to lose its grip. Gradually, we see that these feelings are not permanent residents but passing visitors. They come, they stay for a while, and they leave if we do not hold them back. This realization brings a quiet sense of freedom. The weight begins to lift, not because the world has changed, but because our relationship with our own mind has shifted. Water symbolizes calmness and reflection. A simple bowl of still water represents peace, clarity, and the natural ability to settle disturbances. Water, in its simplest form, carries a quiet lesson that words often fail to express. When you look at a bowl of still water, there is nothing dramatic about it. Nothing demanding your attention, yet within its calm surface lies a deep reflection of balance and clarity. It does not force itself to be peaceful, it simply is. This natural stillness becomes a powerful symbol of the state the mind can return to when it is no longer disturbed by constant movement. When the surface of water is touched, even gently, ripples begin to form. The reflection becomes unclear, broken, and restless. In the same way, the mind reacts to every thought, every emotion, every external influence. A single worry can create waves, and before long, the inner world feels chaotic and unstable. But just as important as the ripple is what follows if the water is left undisturbed, it settles on its own. The clarity returns without effort. This is where the true symbolism of water reveals itself. It shows that peace is not something to be created through struggle, but something that naturally emerges when disturbance is no longer fed. The bowl of water becomes more than an object, it becomes a quiet teacher. As you sit before it, you begin to notice how your inner state mirrors its surface. When your thoughts are racing, your attention feels scattered and even the simplest reflection seems unclear. When your mind slows down, the water appears calm and everything becomes more defined. There is also a sense of acceptance in water that is easy to overlook. It receives everything without resistance. Whether it is light, shadow, or movement, it allows all to appear without holding on to any of it. This teaches a gentle way of being, one where experiences are allowed to come and go without being grasped or rejected. In observing this, you begin to understand that not every thought needs a reaction, and not every feeling needs to be held. Over time, the bowl of water becomes a mirror not of your physical appearance, but of your awareness. It reflects how much you are holding, how much you are resisting, and how much you are willing to let go. And in that reflection, there is a quiet invitation to become like the water itself, not rigid, not forceful, but calm, open, and naturally clear when left undisturbed. Observation without resistance. Instead of fighting negative thoughts, you should observe them quietly and allow them to pass, just like ripples in water. There is a quiet strength in learning to observe without resistance. Most people, when faced with uncomfortable thoughts or emotions, immediately try to push them away or replace them with something more pleasant. This reaction feels natural, yet it often creates more tension than relief. The mind becomes a place of constant struggle where each unwanted thought is treated like an enemy that must be defeated. But the more you fight, the more attention you give, and what you resist begins to grow stronger. To observe without resistance is to step out of this cycle. It means allowing thoughts to arise without immediately judging them, changing them, or attaching to them. At first, this may feel unfamiliar. You may notice how quickly the mind tries to label everything good or bad, right or wrong, acceptable or unacceptable. But when you pause and simply watch, something begins to shift. You realize that thoughts are not commands you must follow, they are movements passing through awareness. Imagine sitting quietly and noticing a worry appear. Instead of chasing it or suppressing it, you acknowledge its presence. You see it clearly like a cloud passing through the sky. You do not hold on to it and you do not push it away. In this simple act, the intensity of the thought begins to soften. It no longer feels overwhelming because you are no longer entangled in it. Resistance often comes from the belief that certain feelings should not exist. When sadness, anger, or fear appears, the instinct is to reject it. Yet these emotions lose their force when they are allowed to be seen without conflict. Just as a ripple fades when the water is left undisturbed, thoughts and emotions settle when they are not constantly stirred by reaction. This does not mean becoming passive or indifferent. It is a deeper form of awareness, one that recognizes the difference between experiencing something and becoming it. When you observe without resistance, you create space within yourself. In that space, clarity begins to emerge. You start to see patterns you may have missed before, and with that understanding comes a quiet sense of control, not through force but through presence. Over time, this practice transforms the way you relate to your inner world. Instead of being carried away by every passing thought, you remain steady like a still point in the middle of movement. And in that steadiness, you discover that peace is not the absence of thoughts, but the ability to let them come and go without disturbance. Breath is the tool for release. Slow, mindful breathing helps release emotional weight and brings the mind back to balance and stillness. Breath is always with you, yet it is often the most overlooked tool for restoring balance. It moves quietly in the background of every moment, asking for nothing, needing no effort to begin. But when brought into awareness, it becomes a bridge connecting the restless mind to a calmer, steadier state of being. In times of emotional weight, when thoughts feel heavy and scattered, the breath offers a simple way to return. When the mind is disturbed, the breath reflects it. It becomes shallow, uneven, sometimes almost unnoticed. This subtle change feeds the sense of unease, creating a loop where the body and mind move together in tension. But the same connection can be used in the opposite direction. By gently slowing the breath, by allowing it to deepen without force, you begin to send a quiet signal through the body that it is safe to relax. The mind follows this rhythm more naturally than it follows commands or resistance. Each exhale carries a unique power. It is a release, a soft letting go. When you breathe out slowly, you can imagine the weight you carry leaving with it, not as something dramatic, but as a gradual easing. You are not pushing anything away, you are simply allowing space to open. With each inhale that follows, there is a sense of renewal. The breath enters fresh, unburdened, and with it comes a subtle feeling of clarity. The beauty of this process lies in its simplicity. There is no need for special conditions, no requirement to escape your surroundings. Whether you are sitting quietly or surrounded by noise, the breath remains accessible. By placing your attention on it, even for a few moments, you begin to shift your awareness away from the constant stream of thoughts. The mind, which often clings to past or future concerns, is gently guided back to the present moment. Over time, this practice deepens. You start to notice the spaces between breaths, the brief moments of stillness where nothing is being held or released. In these pauses, there is a natural calm that does not depend on circumstances. It is not created, it is revealed when the movement slows. Breath does not force change, it invites it. It does not demand control, it offers rhythm. As you continue to return to it again and again, you begin to understand that release is not something you achieve through effort. It happens when you allow yourself to soften, to follow the quiet flow that has always been within you. Inner peace is already present. Calmness and clarity are not something to find outside, they exist within you once you stop feeding negative thoughts. There is a common belief that peace is something distant, something to be found after circumstances improve or problems disappear. Many spend their lives searching for the right place, the right moment, or the right conditions that will finally allow them to feel calm and complete. Yet this search often leads them further away from what they seek because it is directed outward while the source lies within. Inner peace is not something that needs to be created from nothing. It already exists, quietly present beneath the surface of constant thought and emotional movement. Like clear water hidden beneath waves, it is always there, though not always visible. The mind, with its endless activity, covers this natural stillness. Each worry, each fear, each attachment adds another layer of disturbance, making it seem as though peace has been lost. What is often overlooked is that the disturbance is temporary, but the stillness beneath it is steady. Thoughts come and go, emotions rise and fall, but the awareness that notices them remains unchanged. When attention is fully absorbed in thinking, this deeper calm is forgotten. But the moment you step back and observe, even briefly, you begin to sense it again. The habit of feeding negative thoughts is what keeps this calm hidden. When the mind repeats a worry or clings to a painful memory, it continues to stir the surface. It is not the thought itself that creates lasting disturbance, but the attention given to it. By continuously engaging with it, analyzing it, or resisting it, you unknowingly give it more energy. When that engagement softens, the thought loses its hold. Letting go does not mean forcing thoughts to disappear. It means no longer giving them the importance that keeps them active. As this shift happens, even in small moments, there is a natural return to clarity. You may notice brief gaps where the mind is quiet, where nothing is being chased or avoided. In these moments, there is a sense of ease that feels familiar, as if it has always been there waiting. Over time, this understanding grows stronger. You begin to trust that peace is not fragile or dependent on perfection. It does not require a life free from challenges. Instead, it exists alongside everything, available whenever you stop holding on to what disturbs you. The search outside begins to fade, replaced by a quiet recognition that what you were seeking was never separate from you.